What's going on, everyone? This is Logan Landers here with 100 Yards of Football, of course, talking about our weekly Atlanta Falcons report. And we made it here to week 10. And boy, oh boy, it took a lot of courage, a lot of strength to get up here today, because the showing that the Falcons had this past week against the dreaded New England Patriots here in Atlanta, as you know, and to have the result that we did. And of course, as we know, this is being filmed on a Wednesday, but we know that yesterday it was the NFL trade deadline. So we saw that come and go, and we'll talk a little bit about that as well, and what the Falcons did/did not do. So all that and more here in just a minute. So if you guys enjoy the show, please be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. We go live here each and every single week on the channel. Main two platforms are Facebook and, of course, YouTube. But you can also go and download our podcast on Spotify or Apple Podcast. Anywhere you enjoy listening to your shows along those lines, you can find us over there. So let's get into it. Let's talk about this Falcons team and where we sit currently heading into week 10. So right now the Falcons are now at 3-5 on the season. We are 1-3 on the road, and we are still in third place in the NFC South here. Just a handful of games left in the season. Now, checking out the standings, as I just mentioned, the Falcons are indeed in third place, but let's take a brief look around the rest of the NFC South and see how Atlanta's competition is faring. So in the bottom of the barrel, in the cellar, you have the New Orleans Saints, who are 1-8 on the year, losers of 4 in a row. Right above them is, of course, the Atlanta Falcons, coming in 3-5, losers of 3 in a row. Carolina Panthers, what a jump they've made this season, 5-4 overall, currently in second. And the top dog is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, as we know, 6-2 overall on the season. And for Atlanta, boy, what a rough loss this was. 24-23 final score in this matchup. And if you look overall at this team, at this game, Atlanta, God, they really just should have won. Outperformed New England in a handful of categories overall. Quarterback play, you can say Michael Penix outdueled Drake May. Yes, Drake May had him in yards, but you look at it, Michael Penix, 22 of 37, 3 touchdowns, no picks. Drake May, 19 of 29, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick for 259. Like I said, had him in the yardage, but other than 37, 38 yards, whatever it may be, I thought that personally, and I think a lot of people feel this way, that Michael Penix looked razor sharp. He looked really good against New England. And, the rest of the club, Sean Robinson, another tough day on the ground. Only 46 yards, 12 carries for him. Did get a little bit going in the passing game. He had 8 catches for 50 yards. But Drake London was the main, it was Michael Penix. It was Drake London. Those were the main two offensive mainstays for this club. Drake London, 9 catches, 3 of those being touchdowns for $118. So they were looking good in that on offense. But like I said, the running game just was not there. Couldn't get anything at that point. And for the defense, you can't even fault the defense. Also, like I said, 24 points isn't even that much. The Falcons, we know, they've struggled to put up points this year. They look better, but just was not the case. Couldn't get, just a little bit more. Third quarter is what killed this team. Third quarter is what killed this team. We're shut out. No points, no field goals, no touchdowns, nothing. So that's what hurt them. But the defense, highlight 3 players: Brandon Dorless, Jalen Walker, and Lakel London. 6 sacks. Each of those gentlemen had 2, so credit to them. They looked fantastic in the loss. Jesse Bates also got involved with interception for 17 yards, took that one back. But it was just tough, man. It was tough. And I've saved this for the last because it has just been dreading. It's been hitting at me. It's been hitting at the rest of the fans. The end of the game in the fourth quarter, when the Falcons, they did technically win that quarter 9-0, but we know it should be 10 and then possibly more. But that was not the case. Reason being, the Falcons in the fourth, they were down going into the quarter, 24-14. Start off the fourth, Parker Romo kicks you a 38-yarder field goal, puts you within 7. Then 10 minutes come and pass, give or take. You score a touchdown. 4 to 5 minutes left on the clock. Drake London's final touchdown for the day, 8-yard pass from Michael Penix. And just the kind of cherry on top of this awful season we've had so far. Parker Romo. He missed the extra point. Yeah, he missed, straight up just missed the extra point, the point after. And, that just killed the rest of this team and possibly their season, honestly, for being honest here. Now, I will say this for Parker Romo's behalf. There were still a little less than 5 minutes left in that ball game at that point. New England got the ball, took some time off the clock, obviously. They still punted. They punted the ball. Atlanta got the ball back with just about a little bit more than, let's just say, 3.5 minutes is a nice even number there. So the Falcons still had a chance to possibly win this ball game, but just were not able to. They just couldn't get anything going. They looked good starting off that final drive there, but then it was just an unfortunate intentional grounding penalty that I've seen people talk about all week. Brought him back to 3rd and 20. Just couldn't do anything with that. They decided to punt with 2 minutes left on the clock right before the 2-minute warning, and New England ended up icing the game after that. A handful of runs, including 17-yard pass from Drake May to seal it. And New England improved to 7-2. Great year they've had. Hats off to them. So that was the game recap. And so that was on Sunday. And looking ahead to Tuesday of this week, it was the trade deadline. Okay. And you haven't heard a whole lot about the Falcons and any rumors. The only rumor that I had seen was they were shopping around Kirk Cousins, which, I mean, obviously. Came out last week that he was wanting to be a starter somewhere, which makes you just want to scratch your head. Now, trade deadline came. Basically, trade deadline passed. The Falcons' move that they made on November 4th on Tuesday for the trade deadline. Up first, they might want to sit down, make sure you're strapped in, because big moves here, fellas. Long snapper Zach Triner added to the practice squad. They released kicker Ben Sauls from the practice squad in a corresponding move. Falcons inside backup offensive lineman Andrew Stuber. And they release Parker Romo. Now, for Stuber, he was with Atlanta last year in the preseason. Played a handful of games, went over to Cincinnati, played a handful of games, only got, I think, 5 or 6 snaps, didn't see the field a whole lot. So you sign a long snapper and a backup offensive lineman. You release your kicker, Parker Romo, and you bring in Zane Gonzalez, who was with the Washington Commanders last year in bits and pieces. And the thing that I just couldn't believe once I saw it is that for career field goal percentage, Parker Romo was in the middle, Younghoe Koo was on top, and the Falcons' brand new kicker, Zane Gonzalez, was at the bottom at 80%. So the Falcons they're now in their 3rd kicker, 9 games deep, and we've, in a way, just kind of went down in quality. At least for numbers wise, right? But I'll say this for Mr. Gonzalez, Zane Gonzalez, best of luck to you here in Atlanta. We wish you the best and hope you kick a lot through the uprights. But that was it. That was all the Falcons did this trade deadline. You sign a backup offensive lineman, you release a kicker, you sign a new kicker, and you add a long snapper to your practice squad. Nothing was done to get rid of Kirk Cousins, which I know, lofty task. But the main thing that irks, I think, a lot of Falcons fans that I've seen, he didn't show up with the defense, with Diablo still being out for a handful of weeks. Couldn't get another piece in there to help. And the main thing was the offense in terms of couldn't find another receiver because they're still away searching for that production when Ray McCloud was waived a handful of weeks ago. So just not a lot being done here in Atlanta, honestly. And as we look ahead, as much as you can, to this upcoming week's matchup, it's not a cakewalk. We're not facing, the Saints or, I would say the Dolphins, but hey, the Dolphins beat us. You're not facing a bottom shelf team. You're facing a team coming into this week that has just been rolling over people, basically. They're 7-2. There is no, in a sense, home game this week. There's essentially just both road games because the Falcons are going to be taking on, of course, the Indianapolis Colts. Falcons 3-5, Colts 7-2. This is going to be at Olympic Stadium, Berlin in Germany. So, also, if you guys are going to record this game or watch this game, please take note here. If you're in the Atlanta area, at least on the eastern side of the world, Eastern Standard Time kickoff for this matchup is 9:30 a.m. So get you some breakfast, get you some pancakes, some bacon, some eggs, get you a little bit of coffee or some orange juice, and you can watch the Atlanta Falcons and the Indianapolis Colts. Now, brief look here at Indy. 7-2, as we mentioned. They're coming off a loss to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Final score in that ball game, Pittsburgh got the win 27 compared to Indianapolis putting up 20 points in the ball game. Now, when you look at their players, who are some guys to watch out for, who are some guys that, they're going to have extensive film sessions on this week, is Daniel Jones. And it's still wild to me if you would have said a handful of years ago that Daniel Jones and Sam Darnold were going to be battling for MVP votes in 2025. I would have said, what are you watching right now? Where are you playing Madden? And that they're both contributing to both of their team's success. Sam Darnold, obviously, with Seattle, doing great work there. But with Daniel Jones, want to talk about him. He's found the right fit, and he has just snatched that starting job from Anthony Richardson. Of course, when he came over, there were some people saying, oh, what are the Colts doing? He's going to be a backup. But no, Daniel Jones has looked great. 2,400 plus yards, 14 touchdowns, 6 picks, 14 sacks on the year. Of course, they have Jonathan Taylor, who's closing in on 900 yards. He's got 12 rushing touchdowns, averages 5.7 yards per carry. He's looked great there. Top receivers, Michael Pittman, wide receiver, 561, 6 touchdowns, and tight end, Tyler Warren, 518 on the year for him, 3 touchdowns. They also have guys like Alec Pierce to watch out for, and Josh Downs, just to name a few more. We know they just got rid of A.D. Mitchell with the club. So we know because they made a trade the other day. Indianapolis did, where Mitchell was sent out, shipped over to the Jets. And we know Michael Penix, best of luck, my friend, because you got Sauce Gardner now to watch out for this week. So if you're Falcons fans, fingers crossed that Sauce is not familiar with the playbook, jet lagged, whatever it may be. Because it's going to be tough. It is going to be tough. And you hope that Daniel Jones has a rough day like he did last week. Only 1 touchdown for him last week against Pittsburgh. 3 interceptions. If you're Atlanta, you need that to happen again if you want a shot at winning. Just kind of final thoughts here. We'll wrap up the program, get moving with the rest of our programs here we have lined up on the show. Raheem Morris and Zach Robinson and so on and so forth, the, brass there in Atlanta in the suits in the front office. It's looking bleak. From the outside looking in, it's looking bleak. Once again, this was supposed to be the year for the Falcons where they finally go on top and, things are great once again. It's just not the case. Not the case, unfortunately. And hopefully things get better, but I don't see it anytime soon. So I don't know, maybe you might have some other thoughts in our comment section, Facebook, YouTube, to brighten the mood and to help us out and to help out the team. Just let me know what moves you would make to fix this club, because there's a lot that could be made. And we'll talk more about that at a later episode. So as we wrap up the show here today, this has been our Week 10 report for the Falcons, going against the Indianapolis Colts. Once again, 9:30 a.m. kickoff in Berlin. So check that one out in the early morning this week. So not further ado, I've been your host, your producer, Logan Landers here, talking about the Atlanta Falcons and their weekly report. If you have any other comments, drop it in our section, Facebook, YouTube, but also go download a podcast each and every single week. Until next time, we'll see you again on another Atlanta Falcons Weekly